Welcome to day 2 of your second grade homework. I'm glad you're all tuning in. I want you to know that I'm thinking of you all and praying for you often. I want to remind you before we get started to talk about what we're going to learn or what your homework is. Just want to remind you how much God loves you. I was thinking today about our Bible verse that we've worked so hard to memorize. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you. I've loved working on that verse with you guys. I love the song that we learned. It comes to my mind and it helps me. I want to remind you too to sing the song and remember that God is with you and that He loves you so much. Okay, your day 2 homework is we'll start with reading. We'll read the story together. I want you to follow along with me in your reading book, and then we'll have a worksheet. In English, we're introducing adjectives. They're such fun words. You're going to love them. And math, we'll do a chapter 12 review. We'll start it together and do several of the problems together, and then I'm going to let you do the rest on your own. Okay? Okay, let's start with reading. We began a story before, the story of Zach the zebra, and the story is called Captain Stripes Gold. So we're going to pick back up with what happened with Zach the zebra and find out what happens next. I want to draw your attention to our vocabulary words that we'll be encountering in the story. Glanced, coiled, and heard. So notice, watch for those while we're reading, and those are our vocabulary words. Maybe you already know what they are, what they mean, and maybe you don't. Let's talk about it. Here's a question to help you think about what the word might mean. If a long rope is coiled, do you think it would be more or less difficult to fit inside a box? If a long rope is coiled, it would be less difficult. We talked about coiled actually, maybe on Friday at school. Coiled is when it's curled tightly in a circle. The way our tickets, our prize tickets are, when they're curled up tightly in a circle, then I can put them away in the desk. It's much easier than when they're unraveled really far. So that's coiled. Here's another question about glanced. If someone glanced at you, would it be a long look or a short look? Do you know? Glanced means a short look, just looking and then looking away. Okay, and then the word herd. If a cow lives in a herd, does it spend more time with or apart from the other cows? If the cow lives in a herd. Cows that live in a herd live with other cows. Herd is the whole group of animals living together. Okay, so listen for those 3 words in the story. If you'll remember, why did Zach Zebra go into the jungle in our last story? He was thirsty. There were rules that said don't go in. Captain Stripe had said don't go into the jungle, but Zach Zebra felt thirsty and he went in anyway. Do you remember who he met when he went into the jungle? He met an elephant named Moomba, a snake, and a crocodile. And I wonder what will happen next now that he has met those 3 animals. We can find out. Okay, open your book to page 84. Remember, he's just met the snake and the crocodile, and they're talking to him next to the water. Don't run away, a voice called. We won't hurt you. I'm Mona, the python. The voice went on. This is my friend Croc. We don't get many visitors down here, do we, Croc? The crocodile sank a little lower in the water. Not enough, anyway, he muttered, with a hungry look in his eyes. Croc looked at the zebra. What are you doing in this part of the jungle? He asked. I needed a drink, answered Zach, tossing his head. I'm very thirsty. Well, by all means, drink as much as you like, Mona said. She coiled up around another branch. Zach carefully stretched his neck to drink from the river. This river is nice, he said. We just have shallow brooks to drink from back on the plains. The water is often muddy from so many other animals walking in it. Why do you 2 have this river all to yourselves? He asked. Well, Mona said. She paused and glanced slyly at Croc. "There are so many rivers here that everyone has his own watering place." "Really?" asked Zack. "Why, this part of the jungle would be a perfect place for our herd. Captain Stripe is always looking for new watering places. I wonder why he doesn't bring us here." The crocodile rolled his eyes at Mona. "Maybe Captain Stripe doesn't want you to know about the gold," he replied. "Gold? Real gold?" asked Zack. Mona swayed back and forth. "Oh, I thought everyone knew about the gold. Robbers hid it in a shady place many years ago. Now the vines have grown so thick that they have hidden the gold from sight. But I know where it is." Her eyes glowed. "What we need is a nice strong fellow like you to fetch it for us," said Croc. "If you help us, we will gladly share the gold with you." Zack looked at Croc, then he looked at Mona. There was something about the two of them that bothered him. Zack seemed to hear Captain Stripe's words warning him to stay out of this jungle, but he shook his head and he put the voice out of his mind. "Where is the gold?" asked Zack. "I'll help you get it. Then I can take real gold to the zebras. They will not think Captain Stripe's words are so good then, and I will not have to wait until I'm older to be the leader." "The gold is on the other side of the river," said Mona. "You must cross the bridge." Zack looked at the old wooden bridge swaying back and forth over the river. "I do not think," he began. "Are you really afraid?" asked Mona, laughing. "A leader cannot be afraid. It's just a short trip. Soon you'll be back with the gold." The crocodile winked at Mona. "Bigger beasts than you have used the bridge," he said. And that's the end. We have to wait till tomorrow to hear what happens next. Why do you think the croc winks at Mona at the python? Why do you think? I don't know. We'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out what happens next. Now, our worksheet is fun. It's a Venn diagram. You guys are so good at Venn diagrams. Whenever we compare two things and talk about how they're different and then also how they're the same. So you get to do a Venn diagram comparing a python and a crocodile. So I know you'll do well with that. We've done that a lot in class. On the back, it's a phonics page. And in the beginning, they ask you to underline the base word and then also to circle the prefix. Remember, the prefix is something that comes at the beginning of the word that changes the word, okay? And then you have a little fill in the blank at the bottom. Now, you might want to look in your book. You can use your reading book to finish these sentences, okay? Hello, second grade. Let's start our English. In English, we're going to learn a new English word. It's going to go along with some of the other English words we've been working on. We've been working on nouns. We've learned a lot about nouns. Nouns are a person, place, or a thing. You can have a dog, or you could have grandma, or it could be a place, like school, okay? And we've also learned a lot about verbs. Verbs, you remember, are action words. There's something you can do, like jump or smile. Okay? And the new English word we're learning today is adjective. Now, adjective is a describing word that we use together with nouns. They're going to tell us more about a noun. Why are adjectives important? I sent home with you this introduction about adjectives. It says, God has given us 5 senses. We use them to help us find out about the world He's made. Adjectives tell us about the world. They're a way that we can use to discover about nouns. Adjectives describe the way a noun looks, smells, sounds, or feels. Adjectives can even describe the number of nouns that you're telling about. So adjectives are wonderful words. I'm excited that we get to learn about them. And you can use this picture here. These are adjectives describing animals. And why don't we practice doing one now? We'll use elephant, the elephant from our reading story. Let's just make a little word web about the elephant. Let's pick a word to describe how the elephant looks. How does the elephant look? How does the elephant smell? And how does the elephant sound? Okay, let's use some of our five senses and make a word web about the elephant. The first thing I think of when I think of an elephant, how does it look? We could probably think of several words right away. You try to think of some, and I'll write down what I think of. I think big. I think gray. Right? If we think of smell, have you guys seen elephants at the zoo? Because I remember seeing them. They smell stinky. They smell worse than lots and lots of cows, I think. Elephants smell stinky. Okay, how does an elephant sound? If you've heard an elephant when it uses its trunk or trumpets in a cartoon or something like that, elephants sound loud. And maybe you think of other words than that, but we can think of using our senses to describe it. That's what an adjective word is. It's an adjective is a word that answers the question about a noun. What kind? So if you see a noun in a sentence, for instance, the big dog lives on our street. Hear that sentence. The adjective answers the question, what kind of dog? The big dog lives on our street. So I want you to do your first worksheet about adjectives. It's going to focus on adjectives. Look, how do they look? But it's going to answer the question, what kind? Now remember, when you do your English worksheets, it's so important to pay attention to the blue instructions on your worksheet. Sometimes they tell you to do more than one thing. So don't just make a guess. Be sure you read all the instructions, because sometimes they're going to ask you to circle something. Sometimes they ask you to draw a box around it. Another time they might be asking for an underline. Okay, so I want you to pay special attention to the blue instructions. And sometimes on your worksheet it might tell you to turn and tell your partner something or tell your classmate something. You know what? Just tell someone in your house. See if anybody in your house wants to hear some of the adjectives you came up with, or even come up with some with you. Okay? So that's your English lesson on adjectives, the first page. And tomorrow we're going to do another page about adjectives. Okay, let's do math together. Before we get started, on your Chapter 12 review page, I wanted to show you this picture. Okay, there's two pictures. And we're going to look at the picture and fill in these blanks to make a math sentence. How many sets do you see here? There are 3 sets. And how many dots are inside each set? There are 5 dots inside each set. So 3 sets of 5. And we want to know what that equals. And we could count them all one at a time, but we won't do that. We'll do skip counting. That will get us to the answer faster. We can say 5, 10, 15. 3 sets of 5 equals 15. And if you wrote that as a repeated addition problem, you would be saying 5 plus 5 plus 5, right? Equals 15. Or if you just write it as multiplication problem, it's 3 times 5 equals 15. Now this picture down here is a little bit different. How many sets are there? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sets of 1, 2, 3 dots. And what does that equal? We can skip count by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So this is 5 times 3 equals 15. These two multiplication problems are related. They're related facts. 3 times 5 equals 15. 5 times 3 equals 15. When the order of the factors changes, the product doesn't change. The pictures are different, aren't they? The two pictures are different, but the product is the same when you have a related multiplication fact, okay? So remembering that will help you while you're doing your Chapter 12 review. When we look at the Chapter 12 review, it begins with, at the very beginning, skip counting. And it's three kinds of skip counting that we've practiced a lot, and I think you're very good at. Skip counting by 2s, by 5s, and by 10s, okay? And so I know you can do that. I want you to fill those out there at the beginning. And then you have pictures similar to this, where you're going to fill in how many sets and how many are in each set, and then make it a repeated addition problem, and then turn it into your multiplication fact, okay? And number 6 we'll do together. I'll just make some space. Number 6 we'll do together. It's similar to the one we did there at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the picture you guys have on your problem. And so then they want to know how many sets. How many sets is this? 2. And how many is in each set? 4. 2 sets of 4 equals, and how many dots is that? It's 8. And then they want you to write the addition problem, 4 plus 4, and they also want you to write the multiplication problem. So you're writing it all those ways and always ending in 8. Okay, so that I didn't know if we'd seen one that looked exactly like that yet, so I wanted us to do it together. And then at the bottom, they have more problems doing it the same way, and they have a little place in the bottom where you can make a picture to help you solve the problem, okay? And I recommend doing that. It helps you picture what's happening and helps you find the product, find the answer at the end. Now on the back, you're going to make an array, and we've been working on that, but I'll do one of those together with you as well, just because I know it's a newer concept, okay? So if you want to look at number 14, and they have the box to be the array. And then, here, I'll move this so we have more room. They want you to fill in the array for the multiplication fact. That's what picture and solve each fact means. And they've written it down at the bottom, 5 times 2 equals. Remember, the number that comes first in your equation goes right here. So we'll put the 5 right there, and the number that comes second goes at the top. So we'll look at this number, 5. How many dots do we need to see right here? We need to see 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the number at the top is 2, so how many dots do we need to see there? 1 is already there, and 2. Now, the problem isn't completed then. You have to finish filling it in all the way. And now this little box can help you answer the question, what is 5 times 2? What is 5 dots down and 2 rows across, 2 dots across? It's 10. And if you do the same problem using the array and doing the related fact, your array will look different. So let's do the next one. We'll change it to the related fact, which means we'll just switch the order of these factors. Now it will be 2 times 5. Okay? So we'll take this first number, put it on this side, take the second number and put it at the top. And then we'll fill in the dots, okay? So we'll need 5 all the way across here and only 1, 2 on this side. So the picture changes, but the product stays the same. Okay? So that's number 14. I think all the rest of them you can do on your own. If you have any questions, you can have your mom help you send me an email, and I can write you back and see if I can answer any of your questions, okay? So I think you'll do well on the Chapter 12 review, and we'll have another chance to work on that in a couple of days, okay?